And while the acceleration may not tear off your face, it is robust. Hey crew, I've got the key to that 24 Mercedes-AMG GLE53. We are going to take it for a drive, but first, let's check it out. It looks on the inside and outside. The 24 model year brings a minor facelift, and I will point out the differences. Up front, we still have the Panamericana grille with the vertical slats and the giant TriStar in the center, beneath an AMG specific badge on the hood. Down low is a slightly revised bumper. The changes are super subtle. Focus on this part right here. It's designed to look more like the GLE63. These are non-functional corner vents, but you do get functional air curtains to cool the front brakes and tires. They're updated daytime running light designs with projector LED headlights and turn signals. This is also wearing the new Twilight Blue Metallic paint. And when they first dropped it off, it was in shadow and I thought it was gray. Now seeing it in the sunlight, I'm into it. At the side is a set of optional 22-inch forged alloy matte black wheels wrapped in Yokohama Advance Sport tires. They're summer tires sized 285 section front and 325 at the rear. Within those wheels up front are 15.8-inch ventilated cross-drill discs, and with the AMG Night package, there's some black gloss for the front bumper, door mirror caps, and window trim. Stepping back to look at the profile, the GLE still has some classic ML design traits like that C-pillar shape, but the current design language from Mercedes and AMG is much more rounded. We do have those protruding fender flares to cover the ultra-wide tires. Here at the back for 24, you get some updated LED taillight designs and turn signals. The roof-mounted spoiler is very subdued. There are some fake vents down low and an AMG-specific diffuser with 4 blacked-out exhaust ports thanks to that Night package. The changes for 24 don't really enhance the look much for me, and overall I find the GLE's design to be pretty soft. My question for you, does the GLE53 look AMG-ified enough? Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. Opening up and looking inside at this Macchiato Beige, that's fun to say, and black Nappa Leather interior. There's a large pano sunroof as standard. On the seats are suede inserts mingling with the perforated leather. No rear seat heating as standard. On the doors, black leatherette is up top with contrast stitching, brushed aluminum trim, and a Burmester surround sound system. More of the Macchiato, it's just too good not to say it. Leather here for your armrest, hard plastics down low, large door pocket, one-touch windows, and some illuminated AMG tread plates to walk over on your way into the back, where behind my own seat, at 6 feet tall, I've got loads of knee room. This is injection molded, this is leather. This mesh mat pocket's gonna wear out quick. There are good-sized foot pockets to slide my feet under, so thigh support is decent. Headroom is much more than decent, though. I've got plenty of it here with my head back on the headrest, so that gets the thumbs up from me. In the middle are air vents, but no third zone of climate as standard on a $90,000 SUV. That's a miss. 2 USB-C ports are down there. The drive shaft dump isn't too big, so I can get into the middle seat where my head once again clears, with space on either side for 2 more full-size adults to join me. That would be a 5-seater setup. You can also get a 3rd row for 2 more seats, but the legroom back there is just terrible. With no middle passenger, you get 2 cup holders and leather padding. Let's check out the front next. Door close noise. Ooh, that soft thud of quality. Smart keyless entry is for the rear and front doors. These front seats are both heated and ventilated as standard, with 4-way lumbar. There are AMG floor mats, aluminum accented foot pedals, more AMG tread plates. On the doors, we find your seat controls with 3 positions of memory. Then here are your 4 one-touch windows, power adjusting and power folding door mirrors. More hard plastics there in the front too. This is your tailgate release. And behind the 2nd row of seats, we've got 33 cubic feet of space. Underneath the floor is a space saver spare tire. Over here is an air suspension raising and lowering function to make it easier to load or unload cargo. What I'm not seeing back here is a way to fold down that 2nd row 40-20-40. Instead, You have to reach over. Hopefully you got long arms. Press those tabs and push forward. That'll give you access to 75 cubic feet of space. There is a power close and lock function on the tailgate, which goes up nice and high for tall folks. Don't worry, if you've got a low garage door, you can set that height so you don't smash your tailgate. In the driver's seat, I'll hit the start-stop button twice to put us in accessory mode. And here we're looking at the new for 24 steering wheel design that has been seen in the new C-Class and E-Class. It's got touch-sensitive controls on the wheel, which work most of the time unless you get sweaty fingers or palms like I do sometimes. Here we've got reconfigurable drive settings on the left, and then your drive mode selector on the right-hand side. We've got leather top and bottom, suede wrapping on the ends, and we've also got aluminum paddles on the back of the wheel, which are so satisfying to actuate. There's no standard head-up display, and we've got the now older design of two 12.3-inch displays in one single horizontal housing. I say it's older because the newer Mercedes-Benz vehicles, I just was in the new C43, retains this gauge cluster, but then moves the infotainment system to a portrait-style setup that is all touchscreen. So you lose out on the trackpad, which is kind of nice to have if you don't want to reach over and touch the screen so you're not distracted while driving. You also lose out on the physical climate inputs. Those are all within the touchscreen. Slide forward on the gloss black to find two large cup holders and a wireless charging pad plus two USB-C ports. Back further, we've got a leather pad to rest your elbow while working the trackpad. And on the infotainment system, it's nicely responsive and visually compelling. It's also got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Beneath that screen are air vents plus more aluminum trim. The dashboard is covered in leatherette. You know my spiel on gloss black. It smudges, it scratches, it collects dust. I wish they would use something else. I do love the two large grab handles that remind me a lot of the Cayenne that retains the same setup. Leather is topping the console, and inside we've got a USB-C port and decent storage. Visibility is quite good. And there's standard blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic. The cabin looks and feels fancy, apart from some hard door plastics in places. And if you didn't spring for the second row amenities, so your rear passengers are like, what's it like with all the conveniences? All right, let's take the AMG GLE53 for a drive. All right, let's fire it up. Such modesty from the startup. I did love the little animations they have on these selectors and dials. That was cool. Hello, cabin camera crew. Welcome. Thank you for joining me for this drive review of the GLE53. We are going to go into reverse by pulling up on this stock, and that's going to bring up a high-resolution surround view camera system. This is standard on this vehicle. You get bird's eye view off to the side there, and then a variety of different camera angles to choose from, including a 360 projection, with little wavy colored lines. Love that. And I particularly enjoy the super wide angle view. This is so handy in parking lots where people could just be hiding around the corner behind the shadow of another vehicle and could hit you unless you see them coming. Backing on out of here, and then clicking down into drive, you can see that we are in the comfort drive mode here. That's what C stands for, because that's how we start things off at miles per hour. We also kick things off with the world famous horn test. Which is sharp. It's a very sharp note on that horn. And what about the turn signal sound? Not sharp at all, very gentle. Luxurious even. The powertrain in the AMG GLE53. We have a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder with a 48-volt mild hybrid system that makes 429 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. That is routed through a 9-speed torque converter automatic and sends power to all 4 tires via a permanent all-wheel drive system. Now, I do want to take note of the fact that I said this is a torque converter automatic, not a multi-clutch automatic like I found in the AMG C43 I just drove. So this torque converter is just going to be a bit smoother in the transitions between the gears, particularly at low speeds, where the multi-clutch is a little clunkier. The only time that is not the case is when you're coming up to a stop, and with the start-stop system engaged, it will kill the motor in the last few feet, which is fine. You can kind of coast up to a stop there, and the brake pedal is easy to modulate. But if the light then goes green and you need to get back on the power quickly, it will re-engage the engine and put you back into gear in a hurry, and that leaves you kind of lurching forward or backward just a little bit. And so I find myself, to kind of complete the luxury picture, turning off the start-stop system almost immediately when I get behind the wheel, because I would rather take a little hit to efficiency to gain back some tranquility. And there is a good amount of tranquility to be had behind the wheel of this vehicle. The power delivery is ultra smooth. You're not aware of any latency from that turbocharged system. Look at that. Nice set. The seats are a bit firm, and they're not the most ergonomic things I've ever sat in. They don't contour to my body as well as I'd like. So here's an example. My wife and I took a 2-hour drive in the GLE53. There was a bit of traffic on our route, and by the time we were at our destination, we were eager to get out of the seat and do a bit of stretching. And so if you're anticipating long stints behind the wheel of the GLE53, that is something to keep in mind. Now we're going to try the turning radius. Which is fantastic. I want to be clear to emphasize that with the rear wheel steering system, the GLE53 pivots around no problem, which will make maneuvering in tighter spaces like parking lots an absolute breeze. And in the comfort drive mode, the ride quality with these adaptive dampers and air springs is good. I don't want to go so far as to say great, because you can feel the sport tuning that happens where it stiffens up a little bit, it undulates more than the GLE450 over imperfections in the road, and you feel the surface changes more through the chassis than you would the 450. But it's fully tolerable. Speaking of the sportiness, we need to see how quick the GLE53 gets to 60 with a real-world 0 to 60 test next. Look at the McLaren parade. Not too shabby. All right, so unlike the C43 I was just driving, the GLE53 does not have a proper launch control system. So we're just going to move from Comfort to Sport Plus, and then with my race box set up here to record the 0 to 60, I'll give it a bit of a brake boost off the line and then let us go. Let's see it. Racing the cyclist. And there's 60 in 4.76 seconds. Cooking. And that's just the start. The 53 becomes highly motivated in Sport Plus, able to apply all of that power through the all-wheel drive system. Meaning not only are your 0 to 60 runs peppy, but your mid-range pulls are strong. And if we want to give manual mode a shot, I've customized that selection here, where I can switch back and forth, so I can use these paddles now and prompt some quick shifts. Does let me go all the way out to redline, wanted to confirm that. And while the acceleration may not tear off your face, it is robust. I'm pleased with this gearbox and the action of pulling the paddles. It's satisfying. Kudos to you, GLE53. That was a bizarre sort of hiccup there. I was keeping my foot pinned on the throttle and it sort of pulled back from the power before it then released it. I wonder what was going on there. Can we replicate? So full throttle. It did it again. It like paused in the acceleration. Wonder what the culprit is there. And as we ponder that pause in acceleration, let's also mull over the soundtrack. It sounds like a smooth 6, and you do get a bit of character with the upshifts, but is it savory? Is that something you would revel in every day? I'm not so convinced. At low speed, sure, adds a bit of fun, but it's not something I would desire and crave. Let's see about the braking performance. Carrying some speed here into this curve. Going full ABS. That was a bit sketchy. Didn't love that. Steering doesn't have a lot of feedback. And the body is controlled. Power out of corners is strong. And what does round 2 have for us? Well, it's got plenty of power. That isn't really in question. And it does feel stable in the corners with the active anti-roll bars to quell the lean that can happen in the body when you've got a high center of gravity. The brakes, though, are really sort of a bummer because when you're carrying 5,200 pounds into a low-speed section, you need to be able to halt before you tuck into the corner. And I just didn't have that confidence. The braking pedal never gave out or anything like that. It's just that the stopping force wasn't really there. It wasn't there as I felt it needed to be with an AMG product. And then the steering also left me wanting. I had a decently quick rack. It turned in acceptably, but the feedback through the wheel was so mild that I wasn't really sure of the grip threshold. And again, that is so critical for a performance SUV. And so I'm left with this impression that the GLE53 is, yes, a sporty SUV, but it's not a full-on AMG. And that's confusing because I just drove the AMG C43, which is kind of parallel to this in terms of a entry-level AMG product, but that really felt like an AMG. It drove like you would experience an AMG. This doesn't. This kind of feels like it still deserves the AMG Sport nomenclature, which they've now discontinued and just absorbed everything into the formal AMG title. And so it's just a weird situation in that brand, not knowing which products are real AMG and which aren't until you get behind the wheel and it becomes very clear. You've got the cool performance tech and you've got all these gauges saying, yeah, this is an AMG. But then you get behind the wheel and you go, oh, not really. And that, as I take myself out of Sport Plus and go back to comfort, is going to lead me into my MilesPerHr word of the day, which for the 24 AMG GLE53 is quotidian, meaning ordinary or unremarkable. And I want to clarify, I'm not just saying the GLE53 is unremarkable among mainstream SUVs. It does feel like a cut above. It just is ordinary in the field of performance luxury SUVs. It doesn't distinguish itself. And when you're paying $90,000 for something, I feel like it needs some distinction. The driving experience is a spark of fun. It's not a full-on flame. Now, before I take that any further, since we are on the highway, I am going to close my mouth hole for just a moment so we can listen to the NVH level at these speeds. That, I would say, gets the green check mark of approval in this segment. You have the faintest bit of wind noise and tire noise and road noise, but it is well insulated. You and your family will not need to raise your volumes to have a conversation, and you can relax. Again, keeping in mind that the seats are a little bit firm. We don't have things like adaptive cruise control with steering assistance or lane change as standard. You can equip those, but for extra money, much like you've got to equip the rear cabin with additional goodies if you want your rear passengers to be excited about their drive. Momentarily, before we dive into the competitive discussion, let's review the top speed and fuel economy of the GLE53. Top speed is limited to 155 miles per hour, and fuel economy is 18 mpg in the city, 23 on the highway, and 20 combined. The starting price for the GLE53 is $87,900, and this one, as tested with a modest amount of options, is $94,000. Competitors. In this segment, around this price, you'd be looking at the Audi SQ7, which starts around $92,000. It makes 500 horsepower, gets to 60 in just 3.7 seconds, has a top speed limited to 129 miles per hour, and fuel economy of only 17 combined. We also have the BMW X5 M60i that starts at $90,000. It makes 523 horsepower though. It gets to 60 in 4 seconds flat, has a top speed of 127 miles per hour, again limited, and fuel economy of 18 combined. And finally, there's the Land Rover Range Rover Sport 400 that starts at $91,000. It makes 395 horsepower, gets to 60 in 5.4 seconds, has a top speed of 140 miles per hour, and fuel economy of 21 combined. Points in the GLE53's favor. It is the least expensive to start, and it has the most visually pleasing cabin. But in any performance environment, both the Audi SQ7 and BMW X5 M60i would leave this for dead. And if you want to make a splash, you really want to impress people, that Range Rover Sport is the more posh luxury SUV choice. So I'm left with this impression that the 53 doesn't really make sense. Either you save the money and get the GLS or GLE 450 and get better ride quality, or you spend the extra coin to get a real deal AMG. That GLE63 is a rocket ship. Among the competition, if I didn't actually need the third row of seats, I'd bypass all of those vehicles and get the Audi SQ8, because that is cool to look at. It's got a clean, sophisticated interior and that raucous V8 power and sound. That would be the one I would choose. Which would you choose? Let me know in the comments. Would you have the Mercedes-AMG GLE53? Would you get the Audi SQ7 or SQ8? Would you have the BMW X5 M60, or would you get the Range Rover Sport P400? I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to get notified. And I will see you again next time.